welcome back to Fairy Hollow. I am the ASMR Whispering Fairy, and tonight I wanted to show you some vintage books that I purchased recently. Someone on Facebook actually had these for sale, and they were $10 altogether for 4 vintage books. So I was pretty excited to get them. I have the Tanglewood Tails, and I will be trying to get this together for this video, but I wanted to make sure that the mic was close enough to me and the books. So this is the Tanglewood Tails. It's in the Windmere series, and it's the Rand McNally and Company. It has this very nice binding to it, and it's a bit tattered at the top. And you can see that it's very well aged. The front of the book has what appears to be 2 fighters, one with a helmet and one without, but both with clubs. And it looks like it has a little bit of water damage to it, which just adds to the character of the book. Try not to damage it as I go through it. It's the Tanglewood Tails by Nathaniel Hawthorne with illustrations by Milo Winter. Copyright 1913 by Rand McNally and Company. And this is the 1932 edition. So this book is almost 90 years old. And the table of contents has the Wayside, which is the introductory on page 7, the Minotaur on page 15, Pygmies on page 59, the Dragon's Teeth on page 90, Circe's Palace on page 135, the Pomegranate Seeds on page 180, and the Golden Fleece on page 229. And on page 5 it describes the illustrations and what they're called and on what pages. The Great Rock Stirred on page 22. They never once thought whether their sails were black, white, or rainbow colored, page 54. The enemy's breath rushed out of his nose in an obstreperous hurricane and whirlwind, page 86. It looked so intolerably absurd to see hogs on cushioned thrones. Page 158. It is the only one in the world, said the servant. Page 182. I am going to Iolcos, answered the young man. Page 230. Look yonder, Medea whispered. Do you see it? Page 278. And then it goes on. So maybe this is something that we'll read if you'd like. This says Woodward in Lothrop, Washington. There's a little sticker on the inside, which tells me that's where it was sold, at Woodward in Lothrop. Which I believe growing up we used to call Woodies. We haven't seen a Woodward in Lothrop in a long time. It would have been one of those anchor stores at the mall. The next book that I was able to get was this one, Webster's New World Dictionary, the Compact School and Office Edition. A modern, handy-sized dictionary especially designed to provide quick reference for everyday use. 512 pages, more than 56,000 entries, large, easy-to-read type, clear, concise definitions, simple pronunciation system, clear guides to usage, spelling of irregular forms of verbs, plurals, and comparisons, special supplements. What the binding looks like. It's pretty much the same. This also looks to have a little bit of water damage right here in the corners, which doesn't bother me at all. I know for some book collectors that would be a no-go, but those things don't really bother me. It looks like this belonged to somebody named Mary Bailey at some point in time. This is from the World Publishing Company, Cleveland and New York, and it was copyright 1967. And it has the Library of Congress catalog card number 67-24862. So it's pretty aged in terms of the color, but very readable still. I don't know too much about this book, but I got this as well. It's called The Corner Store, a novel by Albert Adele, author of Centennial Summer. And it looks to be a group of people, teenagers, in an old soda shop around the 1950s. Or at the corner store, I guess. It says Albert Adele, author of the best-selling Centennial Summer and The Great Blizzard, is a professional wrestler who turned author about 12 years and 9 books ago. Born and raised in Philadelphia, he attended the School of Industrial Art for 2 years until, saturated with formal education, he started to travel, hoboing around the country. Since then, he has been practically all over the world and has held down a variety of jobs that range from teaching a course in restaurant management to piloting a steamroller. Of the future, Mr. Adele says, "I have a lot of things I want to write about with the purpose of helping people to understand themselves. I humbly hope to share in the task of teaching the American people to distrust their hates, follow their affections, temper their sympathies, and curb their passions. Perhaps there will be enough people interested in reading my books so that I can support 3 adults, 4 dogs, and 1 cat. If not, I'm not a bit worried about finding another job." It's quite an interesting biography, obviously self-written. I can see on the front that the corner store is called Chester Jones Confectionery and Sundries. That's what I can read backwards on the window. And it looked like this book belonged to somebody named Michelle, and I cannot read the last name. It was on the corner of Kamek and McClellan, one of the many corner stores in Philadelphia in the 1930s. In the cluster of signs across its window, Breyer's Ice Cream, Philly's Handmade, Coca-Cola, you could just make out the old-fashioned letters, Chester Jones Confectionery and Sundries. The sundries in Chester's store could not be listed. They ranged indiscriminately from nylons to affectionate advice. People dropped in as much to chat with the sympathetic owner as to pick up a newspaper or drink a Coke. For the corner store was an institution. It was the focus of life for the whole neighborhood, as well as for the 6 Joneses, the gathering place for the small community. And Chester Jones was the friend in need, the father confessor of all his customers. Life for the Joneses was eventful, filled with excitement, adventure, and romance. Crime, dramatic death, unexpected birth, elopement, robbery, all woven into this compelling novel of family life and of a corner store. Mr. Adele has written with warmth, humor, and great honesty of the problems and triumphs of ordinary people, and has captured their minds and hearts in this vivid cross-section of American life. This is a Doubleday and Company book. This is copyright 1953. Library of Congress card catalog number 53-5755. The characters, the location, and the incidents in this book are entirely the product of the author's imagination and have no relation to any person, place, or event in real life. It is dedicated to Clyde Lisk and Max Abrams, keepers of corner stores, for whom I have respect and affection, and to all of their trade. This book is about 287 pages, and it describes the characters in the book on the back of the jacket. The Joneses. Chester stood about 5'6" in his socks, and his hair was beginning to turn gray. He had a quizzical way of looking at a person that was delightful, and you knew that he was good and wonderful and dependable. Kit had a soft, warm, vague attitude with which she could smooth over any crisis. She was plump and happy, indulgent to the foibles of her family, and a past master at the arts of bringing up children and catering to a husband. Kay, the oldest, was pretty and sensible. She was currently in love with a Polish boy who had an unpronounceable name. George was earnest and, like his father, dependable. He was always getting ideas for improvements, which somehow seemed to get forgotten. He dreamed of owning his own corner store. Dickie was chubby, lively, and irresistible. He was the devil and genius of the family, born to astonish the less imaginative Joneses. Helen, who had just changed her name from Dawn to Penny, was painfully coming out of the glamour stage. She was the beauty and despair of the family. This might be an interesting book to read. I don't know that I would read it on YouTube, as it probably has some words and some topics that may be offensive. And lastly, I got a copy of Gullivers Travels. So I got all 4 of these books for $10. This is Gullivers Travels by Jonathan Swift. This is one I probably could read on YouTube if someone so desired. Edited for young readers, illustrated by Leonard Weisgard, Junior Deluxe Editions, Garden City, New York. And this is copyright 1954 by Nelson Doubleday, printed in the United States of America. There's something about this, like the jacket, the cover, that I really like. It's a little bit imprinted, so if you can see that there's like a bird, and like a yellow bird and a black bird, and then there's a castle over here, and if you look very, very closely, there's indentations, and so the book is very textured, which is nice. Pretty excited to make this video, which was, I guess some of you know I've been struggling a little bit with making videos, and now my dog is going to push the camera all the way out. I don't know if you can hear her snoring in these videos, but she's a very large Italian Mastiff, and a very large Italian Mastiff, and snores and gets very pushy, so she is sound asleep. I guess maybe the ASMR helps her as well. But as I was saying, I think I've been struggling a little bit to decide if I wanted to continue making videos or what kind of videos I would be satisfied making, even if no one watched them. And this was definitely one of them that I was excited to make with the old vintage books. So as always, if you have any suggestions of books that you would like me to read, or even just Wikipedia entries, or anything else, you want me to tap on. I may be sticking with that for a while, just the tapping and the reading. That seems to be more of what I am comfortable making and what I think will be more valuable to me and to my subscribers. So thank you all for watching. I really appreciate it. Thank you for coming to visit Fairy Hollow. As always, I'm the ASMR Whispering Fairy. Fly safe.